So now that Cindy showed us how to move around in the organizer and get our pictures started, I'm going to start with the editor. Now, when you first open Photoshop, fresh from the install, you may see the welcome screen instead of either the organizer or the editor. And every time you open Elements, you have to choose which way you want to go. As you get used to working with it, you may find that you always open into the organizer the way Cindy does, because that's the only way to find a picture in a very large collection. Or you may start up in the editor the way I do, because I'm usually working with a very small number of photographs and doing work for the web. If you want to set it to open one way or the other, on your welcome screen, you'll see down at the very bottom there's a little thing that says Start Up In. If you click this button, it'll say Welcome Screen, Editor, or Organizer. Just click the one you want, and the next time you open Elements, it will open automatically to either the Organizer, the Editor, or if you want to stay in the Welcome Screen, and you won't have to do that second mouse click after it loads to load another module of Elements. Now, there are two parts to the Elements editor. There's the full edit, which has a lot of tools and a lot of options and is very powerful. And there's this second tab called the Quick Fix. This works really well, not only with pictures that are already pretty good, but even with pictures that have a lot of problems. You can fix them up really quickly. I'm going to concentrate here on photos of things because we have a lot of people that sell on eBay. So you might want to know how to make your pictures look better for your auction listings, or on Amazon, get that all-white background that Amazon wants. So we're going to start by concentrating on that. So the first thing I want to do here is just make sure my foreground and background in the full editor is set to white, and you'll see why in a second. This is a picture of a lunchbox, and it's not bad, but it has some of the typical problems that you'll see on some eBay photos. There's something junk here on the side. The background is a little bit discolored instead of plain white, and it's reflecting onto the lunchbox itself with a bit of a color cast. So in the editor, Quick Edit, what you can do is fix all of that with just a few mouse clicks. When you look across the top of the editor, you'll see these menu buttons, and they'll have certain parts grayed out and certain parts available depending on what you can actually do in the tab you're in. You'll also see the two tabs that switch back and forth between Full Edit and Quick Fix. You can print, send photos online to order them, email, use this Create button is the thing Cindy just showed you where you have the photo books and the slideshow, etc. And you can switch to the Organizer right here by clicking that button. Down the left-hand side, you have your tools. On Quick Edit, there are only 5 tools. There's the magnifying glass, and when you click on a tool, you'll notice there's tool options along here that will change and be specific to the tool. So with the magnifying glass, you can make your pictures bigger or smaller. The plus size makes it bigger, the minus makes it smaller, or you have a slider that you can use. Just click on the button and click to make it bigger. Click on the smaller button and click to make it smaller. Or if you have a wheel mouse, you can just scroll. You scroll your wheel forward and back to make it larger and smaller. You also have the option of making a one-to-one picture, making it fit the screen, or showing it at the size you'll print. Down the right-hand side, you have your Quick Fix palette, and that gives you 4 options for the 4 things that most often go wrong. There's the Smart Fix, which is kind of an automatic. We'll just take a quick guess at everything and try and make it good. And that includes a red eye fix. There's a lighting fix that'll make the levels and the contrast a little better, a color fix that all of these have auto buttons, and that'll make an automatic color adjustment or the auto sharpen. If you don't want to use the auto buttons, you can use the sliders to try and arrange it yourself. But then you're getting into kind of sometimes dicey changes, and you may find it's better suited to using the full editor to do that. Now down here at the bottom, you'll see, again, you have your zoom button, and it matches this zoom up here. But you also have this view. Right now we're on after only. This is what the picture will look like after we apply any of the fixes that we have here. You can also change it to before only so that you can apply your changes and you won't know what they are. That's a kind of a mysterious setting. There's the before and after where you can see the side by side. This is your original, and this is what happens when you make the changes. And if you have long, thin pictures, you can do it in a portrait instead, in a landscape instead of a portrait orientation, or if you have a very large monitor. On your toolbar, we've seen how the magnifier works. The hand tool is just used to move your pictures around inside the preview window. It doesn't change anything of the picture itself. It just lets you look at various areas. This is the Magic Selector tool. This is the Crop tool, and this is the Red Eye tool. We're going to use the Magic Selector with this picture. I want to scroll out until I can see this weird thing here, and I'm going to take my Crop tool and just crop down on the after side. You always do your work on the after picture. When you hold your mouse button, drag the crop tool over, and draw it out. When you release your mouse button, the picture that will stay after the crop will be highlighted. The background that will be cropped out is darker. Down at the bottom, you'll see you have this little box with a check mark for yes and the no circle. If you don't like what you cropped, you can say no, and it goes back. So we click the thing, drag it over, draw it again. If we do like it, we click this checkbox and say yes. You also have drag handles, which are these corner and center handles that you can move in or out. When you put your mouse over them and hold the button, you can change the size of your crop if you didn't draw it exactly the way you wanted it. And then when you're ready, you say yes by clicking the check mark, and it's cropped. Now, we've gotten rid of this distraction, but it's still not a very good color on the background, and it still has the color cast here. So let's use our Magic Extractor. Magic Selection Brush. You get this little thing telling you what to do. You say, okay. And I'm going to select the background and call it the foreground, and you'll see why in a second. This works best when you have an extreme contrast. We have a very black item with a not very dark background. I'm going to just click here and draw, and you'll see it's got what they call the marching ants. It's outlined. We've selected this whole background. Now remember, before we started, I changed my foreground and background colors, which are only available in the full editor. I changed them both to white. I've selected the area around the lunchbox, not the lunchbox itself, and I'm going to hit the delete key on my keyboard. And we've dropped out that background. Go up to select, then deselect, and we now have a picture almost ready for eBay. The only thing, I'm going to get rid of the before picture for the moment and have the after only, and then we'll compare them when I'm done. The only thing that's left is we still have this bit of a golden color cast that I don't really like. So I'm going to come down to the color section and click Auto. And now we have what I think would be a perfectly good picture to sell this item on eBay. It'll give your buyers a clear idea of if it has any dents and flaws. We're not trying to hide that. Gives them a good idea of the colors, the scratches, and you don't have that distracting background. So if you're even listing it on Amazon, you'll meet their white-only qualifications. Now here they are side by side. Let's make it, whoops. Here they are side by side, and let's make it a little bit smaller. Oops, that's bigger, isn't it? We'll make it a little bit smaller so you can see them both. And you can see with just a few mouse clicks, took 2 mouse clicks and a crop, 5-10 seconds total to do what used to be a very difficult amount of work to get a much better picture. So that's the power of using the quick edit. And if you're selling something like this lunchbox that probably won't bring in a huge amount of money, you don't want to spend a whole lot of time. If the photograph didn't come out perfectly, you don't want to go back and set it up and take it all over again. You just bring it into Elements and get rid of the flaws. Now let's look at another picture that has a few other problems. This one was shot, again, you have junk in it you don't want, so we're going to come in and crop it. And you'll notice if I try to crop on before, I have that stop sign. It won't work. Come over to the after picture and crop. I like to crop first because then we're not taking any of the miscellaneous stuff when we make our changes. This won't work as well to use the magic extractor brush because the tones are too similar. There's not a lot of contrast between the foreground and the background. As you can see, this sort of vague blue cast, it's just all over everything. But that doesn't mean we're stuck. I'm just going to go to Auto Smart Fix. And people have asked me, what order do you do this in? You start at the top and you go to the bottom. Everything in Elements is pretty straightforward if you just go along with what they want you to do. So I'm going to click Auto. It's looking a little bit better, but that's still not good enough for me. So I'm going to try changing the levels. And again, I'm going to use the Auto button. Well, that's better. Let's punch up the contrast. And let's see if we can just get a little bit more of that blue out. And now I think, again, we've got a picture good enough for a listing. Again, this is y'all mute your phones, okay? We have a picture good enough for a listing. I'm not going to use the sharpen button. A lot of people make the mistake of using their sharpen buttons. And we don't want to do that because let me bring this up a little bit bigger. You'll see we're already seeing a little bit of what we call noise in digital photos. That used to be called grain in photography. So here's the picture with the after and the before both showing. And remember, all I did was run down, well, that's a little too small, isn't it? Run down this series of buttons. Again, a few mouse clicks, a few seconds, and you're ready to go. It doesn't work quite as well when you have something like this. This background, we might want to make it a little whiter, but because the tones are all so similar in this picture, no matter what we do here, we're not going to really get a white background. It's just not going to work with the auto settings. You might come in and start fiddling with your sliders. But as I said, once you start getting really trying to change everything with the levels and the autos and the sliders, you may as well take it into the full edit and do it where it really works. So when you have something where it looks like everything is almost the same, you may not get good results here in the quick editor. One last thing, let's look at these people. This is not a really bad picture, but it's got a slightly blue cast to it. The picture, because the background looks kind of golden and yellowish, the skin tones took on a bluish cast. And that's not really terrible, but, you know, so this is a pretty nice looking picture. You might want to try making that a little bit warmer. So you would go into your auto fix and see it's a little bit better now. It's a little bit warmer. Maybe we'll do a little auto color. Auto color made it colder again, so we take that out. So it's not bad, but I'm not 100% happy with it. even in Quick Fix, you might go up to Enhance, Adjust Color, and use Adjust Color for Skin Tone. You'll get this dialog box, and when you move your cursor onto someone, it turns into a color picker. Pick a skin area. I'm going to pick the little girl's cheek here, little rosy cheek. That was a little intense, so you might want to cool it down a little bit. Say okay. If you don't like it, if you think it's too much, undo it. Go back, adjust color, skin tone, and instead of getting the little rosy cheeks, maybe we'll try this guy because he's a little less, and say okay. And now I think if you were to print this, you would have a much warmer, more natural looking family photo. And again, I always crop everything because I think you only want as much in the picture as you need to tell the story. So if you look at that, I think you'd have a pretty nice family picture. Wasn't bad before, but it was just a little bit cold. And most people look better when it's warmer, even if the background seems a little over intense. The subjects of this picture are really the kids and the parents. So if you decide you don't like what you did, you click Reset and you're out of there. So that's a quick overview of the editor. We're going to go next to, what the heck are we going next to? Cindy's going to talk a little bit about red eye. So I'm going to turn it back over to her, and she'll talk to you about the different ways you can get red eye out of photographs. So Cindy, you want to show your screen, and we're ready for you.